Good morning and welcome. This is TMI Socials. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens. Better still call me a social media butterfly. Isn't it wonderful to know how on social media anything can trend and beautiful stories you get to see? Anyway, this morning we'll begin with our President Bola Tinubu, where yesterday we saw him celebrating Alex Sigman, his longtime friend and colleague from Chicago State University, the United States. The Nigerian leaders stated this at the launch of the Renewed Hope Mechanisation Programme in the Nigerian capital city, Abuja. Tinubu said the launch of 2,000 tractors and other farm implements at the event was part of Nigeria's bilateral deal with the European nation Belarus on the mechanization of farming to eradicate poverty and make Nigeria a partner in food sovereignty. Well, let's move over to Abuja and take a look.
Alex was my very good neighbor and went to the same school with me in Chicago. Never did we dream that I would be in this position as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Alex will be a successful businessman from Belarus to bring about a very successful collaboration and bilateral relationship that will promote economic prosperity and future.
Okay, so how did you take this online? Trust social media users, netizens, you can never please them. We start off with this user who responded by saying, to whom it may concern, Bola Tinubu went to Chicago State University in 1977 to 1979. Alex Sigman went to University of Illinois in Chicago in 1991 to 1995. Bola Tinubu is 73 years old. Alex Sigman is 58 years old. Chicago State University is not the same thing as the University of Illinois in Chicago. Those are two different schools. Now, this guy went to do his homework. Another user responding says, never did we dreamt. Okay. Moving over to other tweets, this user respondent says, even though we don't like him, but it will be crazy if we actually think he doesn't have an academic background. Like the man has all the money to do whatever. Okay, that's true, absolutely. Well, away from that, still staying in Abuja, yesterday we saw VeryDarkMan stage a protest yesterday outside the Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory. Now, he demanded an end to the over 90-day strike by primary school teachers in Abuja. VeryDarkMan gathered school children dressed in their uniforms outside the FCT Ministry's gate and conducted an open-air class where he taught the pupils the alphabet in a satirical manner. As you can see, VeryDarkMan also wore a uniform, passing across his message beautifully well. Let's take a look.
How are they the leaders of tomorrow when you stop them from going to school for 9 weeks? If Wike did not have basic education, he will not be the minister of FCT today. So, if their school is lost, they'll do their school here. So, we start teaching them here every day until their school is open. So, like I said, they have been out of school for 9 weeks. 9 weeks, so how many more be 9 weeks? 2.
9 weeks, that's really a lot. To let you know that, just as he said, primary school teachers in the FCT have been on strike since March 24th, 2025, due to the implementation of the new national minimum wage of 70,000 naira. Let's go over to tweets and see how you took the story online. This user says they are interested in building the INEC office, bridges and roads. The students should be patient. They will have their time after 2027. The labor union in Nigeria Nigeria has failed. Another user responding on X says, pay salary, them no agree pay, and nobody is questioning them. Is it that there is no money on ground or what? I not just understand waiting they happen. Well, still in this debate, finally this one says, smart way to protest. Wouldn't be surprised if they still use tear gas on the kids. After all, it's what they do always. Well, away from that, we'll move over to another interesting story where over the course of the weekend, we saw tensions within the ruling All Progressive Congress APC reached a boiling point on Saturday as Vice President Kashim Shettima pointedly refused to shake hands with the national party, that's the party's national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, in what many see as a public display of dissatisfaction amid growing rift over the 2027 presidential running mate ticket. Let's take a look. Now, this actually took place over the weekend in Akwa Ibom State. It also reminds me of when President Tinubu also snubbed Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, although he has come out to say that we are fine. How can I be in fight with my leader? Anyway, move over to reactions. This user respondent says, don't let these people fool you. They are the real content creators. Not trust them, oh. Okay. Another user says, they have been battles in APC recently, with news that Ganduje wants the vice president replaced. So Baba really knows his enemy, full stop. Finally, this one says, it is my pleasure to witness them in such a disarray. Now, this is according to President Tinubu. Remember when he did say that? Well, away from that, we move over to my fourth story for you for today. From Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwufuru, he has recounted how he miraculously received healing after visiting the adoration ground of Reverend Father Ejike Mba in Enugu, following over 600 medical tests in Nigeria and abroad that failed to diagnose his life-threatening ailment. Now, according to the governor, it was only after the visit that he received his miraculous experience, and you need to see him giving praise and thanks to God. Let's take a look. That's Ebonyi State Governor. They're digging it down. In fact, that's going to be my mood for July 2025 and beyond. Away from that, how did you react to this? We'll start off with this user who says, the governor is dancing like David danced, praising God who healed him of incurable sickness. You people have no idea. Absolutely. Another user says, this is uncalled for. Solemn reverence. Adoration is required before the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. This act is un-Catholic. Okay. Finally, this one says, why is he dancing and praising God or whatever alone? What about his wife, children, and well-wishers who came for the Thanksgiving with him? Okay, is it your Thanksgiving? Leave it for him now. Well, we wrap up TMI Socials this morning by letting you know that the federal government has dismissed the recent security concerns raised by the United States Embassy, insisting that Abuja remains one of the safest capitals in the world. In a statement yesterday, Mohammed Idris, the Minister Minister of Information and National Orientation, said the government acknowledges the right of foreign embassies to issue travel advisories to their citizens, but stressed there is no imminent or specific threat in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Now, this comes after the U.S. Embassy advised its citizens to avoid government and military facilities in Abuja, warning them to remain alert, avoid large gatherings, and vary daily routines for safety. We'll move over to tweet and your thoughts on this. Now, this user wrote, the fact that US is even more unsafe than Abuja because the gun violence there is quite real. Another user on Instagram says, have we ever detected any threats before they happened? We didn't in Benue. We are helpless in Plateau, Borno, Kaduna, etc. Now, this one from Sunday says, have you been able to get rid of bandits in your country? Is asking the minister there. Well, John says, we get missile defense system. Now, waiting, I want to know first, before I begin my journey to Cameroon, of all places to go to Cameroon, well, David Peters says, oh, what does Nigeria know about threat? Aren't we living with threats daily? Indeed, a big question if you ask me, but I mean, it's really pretty much better than other places like Iran and Israel. Well, we get to wrap up TMI socials on this note. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens, and from all of us on This Morning on ITV, Abuja, Lagos, and right here in Adult State, Nigeria, please stay safe.